Hey everyone, welcome back to your weekly DC News Roundup. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Now let's jump straight into our first story. There's a strong rumor circulating that Eva de Dominici might be playing Maxima in the upcoming Man of Tomorrow movie. This comes after a wave of speculation involving several actresses. For instance, Natasha Lyonne was previously linked to the role simply because she followed James Gunn and David Corenswet on Instagram. Emma Mackey was also part of the rumor mill for a while. However, Eva de Dominici seems to be the frontrunner now, especially since filming is set to kick off next month, meaning the final casting decisions should be locked in by now. Also, as we mentioned last week, Jimmy Olsen and Eve Teschmacher are officially returning in Man of Tomorrow, joining the rest of the Daily Planet crew. We also know that Rick Flag Sr. and the engineer are set to return. This makes perfect sense given that Brainiac is the movie's villain. You'd naturally need someone with her advanced engineering and hacking capabilities. This could very well be the gateway to introducing the rest of the Authority, especially since the status of their standalone project remains a bit of a mystery for now. But the massive news, something we actually called months ago, is that Aaron Pierre has officially joined the cast of Man of Tomorrow. Now, some fans are taking this as confirmation that Hal Jordan is definitely going to die in the series. Honestly, I don't think that's necessarily the case. While I expect the show to mark the end of his journey, his absence from the movie doesn't automatically mean he's being killed off. Remember, he's been training John Stewart to take the reins. It makes sense that John is stepping up as the primary Green Lantern, responsible for protecting Earth from those major cosmic threats. This is going to add massive weight to the film, having John Stewart as the primary Green Lantern of the Justice League, or at least setting the stage for what's to come. With Superman in the mix and Hawkgirl officially confirmed, things are getting interesting. We're still waiting to see how her role unfolds, especially given the fallout from her killing the president of Bolivia. In my opinion, the movie is building toward the formation of the Justice League. It feels like a mini Justice League event, similar to what Captain America: Civil War was for the MCU. Earth is going to need a powerful, independent team, one that isn't tied to a corporation like Maxwell Lord's Justice League International. This film could mark the end of that corporate team. Hawkgirl is likely out after her recent actions, and I suspect Mr. Terrific will break away as well to form his own squad, the Terrifics, potentially alongside Metamorpho. That leaves Hawkgirl to join Superman and John Stewart in the true Justice League. And of course, with Brainiac involved, Supergirl is practically a lock. It's clear this sequel is shaping up to be on a much grander scale than the first one. We're also hearing reports that Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, recently had another test screening, and the feedback was incredibly positive. Early word suggests these scores are even higher than those for Superman. Now, don't get me wrong, the Superman test screenings were solid, but they were dogged by some early mixed reactions that stayed with the project right up until its release. With Supergirl, the situation is different. Every single screening so far has been a hit, which strongly suggests we're looking at a film that could potentially outshine the first installment of the new DCU. It's definitely building some serious momentum. Finally, we have to talk about Grant Morrison's recent jab at Damon Lindelof, one of the writers for the Lanterns series. Let's break down where this drama actually started. It all traces back to a 2024 podcast appearance where Lindelof made a joking comment, saying they titled the show Lanterns because, and I quote, "the word green is just stupid and would have made the title sound goofy." Now look, it's clear he was just joking around, and in my opinion, it didn't deserve all this backlash. I can't blame the die-hard Green Lantern fans, myself included, for feeling a bit protective of the character, but if you look at the context, it was clearly just a bit of a clumsy joke. We know how people in the industry can be sometimes. They talk without really filtering their words or thinking about how it'll land. This clip had actually been buried for 2 years. But as soon as the trailer dropped and people noticed the lack of that classic green emphasis from the comics, the frenemies dug it up, and the video went viral for all the wrong reasons. And this is where Grant Morrison enters the chat. We're not talking about just any writer here. We're talking about one of the most legendary architects of the Green Lantern lore in history. Morrison's response was cutting. They questioned how someone could even work on a project they seemingly find stupid, or why someone who doesn't even buy into the core concept of superheroes is in charge of them. This wasn't just a shot at Lindelof, though. It was a direct critique of James Gunn for hiring him in the first place. To Morrison, this attitude feels like a form of condescension toward both the source material and the fans who love it. The subtext is clear. If you think this stuff is beneath you or just plain silly, then don't touch it. Don't risk ruining something you don't actually respect. For Morrison, it wasn't just about a single comment. Their critique goes much deeper, targeting the entire creative direction of the show. First, they slammed the overly grounded tone the series is taking, turning what should be a cosmic, spacefaring epic into a small-town crime procedural. To a visionary like Morrison, that feels like a massive downgrade. They also argued that dropping green from the title, and just calling it Lanterns significantly weakens the brand's identity. Ultimately, Morrison feels like the creators are almost embarrassed by the comic book roots of the source material. It's not just one joke, it's a systematic shift that feels out of touch with what makes these characters great. And honestly, I have to agree, something about this direction just feels off. Personally, I think the grounded, gritty approach is actually a smart move. It's exactly what the brand needs right now to rebuild itself. Plus, let's be real, this is a TV series on a streaming platform. The budget isn't going to match a massive blockbuster movie. Going this route is a safe, temporary fix until the character is ready for the big screen again, which I'm certain will happen. You just can't risk a $200 million budget on a character whose brand is currently damaged in the eyes of the general public. Now, on the second point, that the title Lanterns is weaker than Green Lanterns, I actually agree with Morrison there. However, my theory is that they chose this title because the show will likely introduce different colored Lantern Corps, not just the greens. The creators themselves have hinted at this before, suggesting we're going to see a much broader spectrum of the emotional reservoir than just the emerald light. Now, regarding the idea that the creators are embarrassed by the comic book roots, that's just not true. James Gunn is the producer, and he's probably the biggest champion of comic book aesthetics in the industry today. If he felt the show was stripping away the core identity of the character, he wouldn't have greenlit it in the first place. Even the director clarified that the cosmic and sci-fi elements are very much present. They're just not the primary focus as we've seen 1,000 times before. They're trying to offer something fresh for a genre that fans have been calling stale and repetitive. It's a necessary evolution for the current market. As for Damon Lindelof, he quickly stepped up to clear the air. He issued an apology, calling his own remarks stupid and irresponsible. He made it clear that he's been a Green Lantern fan since he was a kid and has immense respect for the community. He insisted it was just a poorly timed joke and never meant to offend the character or the fans, of which he considers himself one. He's definitely trying to do some damage control before the fans declare an all-out civil war over something so trivial. So here's the bottom line, Grant Morrison has a point. If a writer doesn't truly believe in the source material, it's a genuine risk to the entire industry. You need that passion to make it work. But on the flip side, they might have blown this a bit out of proportion, considering it was all based on an old, clumsy joke. Damon Lindelof definitely messed up, there's no denying that, but it's not exactly a career-ending offense. If anything, it's a massive wake-up call for him to watch his words and stop the loose talk, especially when you're working with a powerhouse like DC. Let's be real, DC fans are on another level. Their passion is unmatched by any other fan base, and they don't take these things lightly. Hopefully, this serves as a lesson for everyone involved moving forward. So, it all boils down to one sentence. One writer made a bad joke, and another decided to treat it like a crime against the entire comic book industry. And the real victim here? The show itself. A show that hasn't even premiered yet. People have shifted from criticizing a trailer to attacking a series before a single episode has even aired. Look, I criticize the trailer too, but I'm still betting that Lanterns is going to be one of the best shows of the year. And when that happens, all those people screaming failure are going to look pretty ridiculous. But let's be honest, they probably won't care. They've grown thick-skinned from all the nonsense they spew daily. They'll just move on to the next thing as if they never said a word. But hey, at least we'll have their old comments to look back on for a good laugh, as usual. And that's a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe with notifications turned on so you never miss an update. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.